We do have a special presentation. That's why we've asked all the adult classes to come into the auditorium this morning. And as usual, we'll have more that'll be trickling in as the morning continues on. But we have a special guest this morning. We have with us Joey Treat. Joey and Tammy and their family, his wife Tammy and their family, were missionaries in the South Pacific for 18 years. And Andrea and I have known Joey and Tammy for many years as they were supported by the Palm Beach Lakes Church of Christ down in West Palm Beach, Andrea's home congregation, and that's where first met Joey. He was, I don't know if he knows this or not, but he was one of the ones that inspired us to go into missions and was one of our first missionaries that I ever knew or saw when he'd come back and report, and so had a big impact on my life. And then now, he and his wife are back stateside, been back now for about 2.5 years. And Joey is with, as you can see on the screen, GBN, the Gospel Broadcasting Network. How many of y'all watch GBN? Yeah, I knew it. We have a lot that watch GBN. A lot of great programs on there. Well, Joey represents them. He is going to be giving us some information about GBN, and then he's also going to be preaching this morning. So without any further ado, I present Joey Treat.
Thank you, Troy. I love your preacher. I wish I could hear him preach. He was at Polishing the Pulpit this year, did several talks on missions. He has a heart for missions and a love for the Lord. I think that you're blessed to have him and Andrea here working with you. Said they've been here for 8 years. Y'all put up with him for 8 years? That's something. You deserve a reward or something. We've known Scott and Rebecca Shanahan for 20 years. They were in Ponape over in the Pacific, and we were in Saipan and Palau, and they were the closest missionaries to us. I think they were 1,500 miles away, but they were the closest to us. And so one time, in our time together, we had a Micronesian missionary get-together, and we met together and discussed missionary principles. But we always stayed in touch with them and loved them very much, and are excited about their being in Italy and your work with them. Thank you for being their overseeing congregation. That's very helpful. I want to tell you about the Gospel Broadcasting Network. Every time I give this talk, people come away and they say, I didn't know GBN was doing all of that. Well, it's hard to keep people up to date with what GBN is doing, so we're glad to be able to come and tell you what's going on, and I hope and I believe that you'll be able to find some good things on our website or on our app that'll help you in your faith, help you grow as a Christian, and should be things that you find interesting because we have a wide variety of things that are available. So we'll tell you about GBN this morning, and as we start, I want to tell you about Megan. GBN is evangelistic. That is the heart and the purpose of GBN. Sometimes people think that it's just to minister to those who are already members of the church, but not so. At the end of the talk today, we'll go through a great many comments and questions that people have sent in to GBN, and about 1/3 of them are from those who are not members of the Lord's church. So we have an active viewership of those who are in denominations or those who are in the world, and we love that because that gives us the opportunity to set up Bible studies with people like Megan. And Megan has a sad story. She grew up in a denomination, and as she was graduating college, she developed a disease that I've never heard before. You ever heard of mast cell? It makes it where she cannot eat food. She has to take all of her meals through an IV, and it was devastating to her. And she said that when she developed mast cell, that she withdrew from God, because it didn't make sense to her. She thought she was a good Christian girl in the denomination, and therefore she was immune to things like that. So she thought she was protected from things like that. And so when that occurred, she pulled back away from God. And then her father took her out to the Grand Canyon to Arizona for a treatment. And looking at the Grand Canyon, she said, I have to believe that God is real. And that's when she found GBN. And we started communicating with her and sending materials to her. Aaron Gallagher set up Bible studies with her over Zoom, and then went out and baptized her where she was. So this is a very common story, not the disease, but people finding GBN and finding the materials and then messaging GBN. And that's what we love. That's what we want to hear, and that's what we want to see. And so we target our programs toward these kinds of people. You see at the end, at the bottom third of a lot of our videos, it'll have an email address and say, got questions? And then give the email address, because we're fishing. We're fishing for people to contact us and ask questions, and they can ask about anything. And if they're not a member of the Lord's church, then we're going to try to steer that into a Bible study. So let's go to how you can learn about GBN and how it can be of service to you. And we'll just go to our website and then be able to walk you through the website together. So here we are on GBN's website. And we'll take a look at how you can watch GBN. And here we have GBN on demand. You know, we have cable. Cable is dying. Cable is almost dead. If you watch cable today, the commercial time is a lot longer because they've got to get more sponsors to keep themselves afloat because everyone's gone to streaming services. Well, GBN has too. We're still on some cable stations, but really we are focusing on demand, which means you can go to YouTube and you can go to our website and watch whatever you want to watch when you want to watch it. We do still have the 24-hour, 7 days a week feed that goes through, but most people don't watch it that way. So what can you watch on GBN? What kind of videos do we have? Well, this show, I'll walk you through several of these programs. And one of the benefits of GBN is that we produce seasons. And so it's not just one program, it is a group of them, and it'll be a year's worth, so maybe 12 episodes or 20 episodes in a season. And it means that you can go and be able to watch them in sync and in series. Well, this is one of them. This is Truth on Wheels, and Don Blackwell does this program. You know, he's in a wheelchair. He's our executive director. Wonderful Bible knowledge, very, what do you say? Temperate man. He is humble. He's a humble man. He's an avid gospel meeting preacher, and he'll be gone 2 or 3 Sundays a month doing gospel meetings and different speaking engagements. But if I start to talk to him about that, then he doesn't like to think that that he's being paraded in any way. He has a very humble mindset about it. And so that's good. That's the way that it should be. But he's in high demand and he has a very humble attitude about it. Well, here's one of the programs on Truth on Wheels. And this one is A New Heaven and a New Earth. So this is just an example of what you can find. And so in this series, there's been a number of people in the Lord's church to begin to teach that the earth will be remade after it is destroyed. Well, brethren, I don't believe that. I don't agree with that at all. There's 4 times when that phrase, a new heavens and a new earth, is used. Isaiah 65, Isaiah 66, 2 Peter 3, and then Revelation 21. And in the introduction of that phrase, a new heavens and a new earth, it is symbolic. It's about the people coming back home from Babylonian captivity, back to Jerusalem. And he talks about how the old men will grow old, they'll not die early, babies will not die in the womb. And it's not a literal passage, but figurative, saying this is going to be great when you get out of captivity and you come back home. It's going to be a wonderful existence. It's going to be those things, and it's going to be like a new heaven and a new earth. So it's figurative. God did not remake heaven and earth when they came back from Babylonian captivity. Well, that's the kind of thing that you'll find on Truth on Wheels. Some of the other programs we have here is Are We Sinful in Nature? Or it's talking about Calvinism. Are we born that way? In the third one, Challenges of Bodily Exercise. And so he has a exercise chair. He's paralyzed from this point down. He's paraplegic, but he can move his arms, and he has a chair that allows him to exercise. People ask about his chairs, and so he explains about that. Look at the second one on this screen. It's Coping with the Loss of a Spouse. He interviews Carrie Duke, who is the minister for the West End Church of Christ in Livingston, Tennessee. And Carrie lost his wife a number of years ago. And I think that that's one of those things that unless you've been through it, you just cannot relate to, cannot understand. And Carrie and Dawn talk for over an hour. Most of these episodes are 20 to 30 minutes, but they talk for over an hour on the impact that it had on Carrie's life And then what people can do who have lost a spouse, what they can do to be able to be fruitful in the Lord and to go on with life. If you know someone who's lost a spouse, this would be a great video to go over to their house and watch together with them. I would suspect that they would become emotional watching it. But what you can do is you can say, now these are the kinds of teachings that you'll find in the Church of Christ. You see it's all straight from the Bible. You see it's logical and reasonable from the Bible. And brethren, that's attractive to people. So this is an outreach tool. A lot of GBN's videos can be used as outreach tools. Well, that's that one. And then talks about, can we understand the Bible alike? Coping with problems. Sherry Patterson has ALS, and so that's Truth on Wheels. That's one of our programs. And you see there's a great variety of topics there. Well, here's another one, and this one is different. This is drawn toward God. And a lot of our programs in the Lord's Church, you've got a guy sitting behind a desk and 2 cameras, and he rotates between the cameras, and we call that a talking head video. Well, they're effective, but this one's different. This one is drawn. There's no person that you see, but it's drawn on the screen while a narrator talks in the background. So here's one of them. Where do we go when we die? These are labor intensive, and so they're between 3 and 7 minutes each. But if you wanted to post something on your Facebook page, this would be a great thing to post. So you don't hear the audio, but a person is talking about what happens when we die. World Video Bible School tells us that their videos on the end times are their most popular videos. And so this is a great one to use if you're wanting to generate spiritual interest and start a spiritual conversation with someone, what happens when we die. And then at the end of the video, it zooms out and shows you everything that was drawn and kind of just a summary of the whole show, whole episode. So that one's Where Do We Go When We Die? This one is, why are there so many churches? This might be the second greatest question that people ask. And brethren, what a thing to be able to address with them. People hate organized religion. I think that's changing. It's turning around, but that's a general attitude because they see the churches fighting and they see Christendom fighting and they don't want any part of that. Well, you and I agree, don't we? We don't want to be a part of that confusion. That exists because of man coming up with additional teachings. We don't want those additional teachings, just the Bible. Well, if you can communicate that to people, you can turn their interest from 0 up to 8 or 9, right? Because they begin to see that there is a right way, and it's one that makes sense, and that's refreshing. People don't get that message. It's refreshing for people. This video can help to communicate that message. Why are there so many churches? So here's my Facebook page. It needs updating, just like most of them. And there I've posted what happens when we die. And it lets people know that you are spiritual and that you're open to talking about spiritual things. Yeah? Okay. So that's drawn toward God. Now let's look at some of the other videos. This is Counterpoint. And this is probably our deepest video right now. Don's got plans on another one that's going to start beginning of next year. That may be deeper than Counterpoint because we have a lot of strong Bible students who want deeper studies in the Word, so he's wanting to address that. But right now we've got Counterpoint, and you've got Mike Hickson and B.J. Clark. B.J. Clark is the director of the Memphis School of Preaching, and they sit together and talk about a variety of topics. Some of the things they cover are the importance of the Lord's church, the danger the world poses to the church, where are the dead, God's pattern for the home. And in this one of April of last year, they're talking about what is going on in America. You know, our country has gone up and down. It's been tumultuous, politically speaking. And they are talking about 2 preachers' perspectives, someone who knows the Bible very well on that topic. And I love that. That's great. I need that. I want that. So that's Counterpoint. Now, here is our most popular program, and that is The Authentic Christian. This is done by Aaron Gallagher, and it really targets millennials and younger generations more than me, our older generations, right? Because it's done podcast style. And people love today to be able to listen to a podcast. And so they've got their microphones. Look at it, you can see it. They've got their microphones in front of them. They've got their headphones on, like they're in a radio station recording something. Well, those are not just props. They're using them, but it is done podcast style. And so it's very casual. They just sit there and talk together. Now, it's not like a morning talk show where people are throwing out their opinions and I think this and I think this. It's not that. But what they're doing is talking about what the Bible teaches on a variety of topics together. And so it is our most popular program. I've got a table in the back. We've got some Authentic Christian stickers back there. And I'll talk more about that as we get into the sermon in a few minutes. But this one is how to reach your social media followers with the gospel. They've got Matt Wallen on there. He's with House to House, Heart to Heart. And so here are some other topics. The Battle of Armageddon, obstacles to evangelism, the book of Revelation, and pornography. So really just anything, and they discuss what the Bible has to say about it. That's the Authentic Christian. Okay, now a similar one is Make It Plain, and it's done by some of our black brothers. I love the style and the different ways that they approach things. It's the same Bible teaching, just said in a different way. And so here you've got Eric Garner, Keith Ford, and Cameron Freeman, and some of their topics. Look at these. Getting to know God, angelology, I don't know that I knew that was a word, spiritual warfare, and then how about this? Can we sin in heaven? Have you ever thought about that? Can we sin in heaven? Well, they address that. That particular program was on dating as a Christian. All right, then we've got Preaching the Gospel, and this is done by Cliff Goodwin. He does a fantastic job. He is in my top 2 of preachers. I love to listen to him and David B. Smith. Cliff loves the Lord, and he knows the Bible very, very well. I can sit and listen to someone like that all day long. So he does a variety of topics. Here are some of them. What is sound doctrine? What if we could look through the eyes of Jesus? Imagine that. What if you could look through the eyes of Jesus? I wonder, is that now from heaven or while he was on the earth? Reading your Bible can powerfully change your attitude. Someone will say, well, how could you make a whole show just on that little topic? Well, he certainly can, and good for us. And then what does the Bible say about gambling? So that's Cliff Goodwin, and that's Preaching the Gospel. See the variety that we've got, brethren? There's lots and lots of good things, and we've got years of these programs online. This one is different. A young man came to Don Blackwell, and he said, my friends are asking me to respond to this YouTube video. You ever been asked that? Sometimes people write GBN and they'll say, can you watch this YouTube video and respond to it for me? And it'll be 2 hours long. Well, we do. You know, it takes time, but we answer every email that comes in and take the time with every one of them. So answering the error, Don said, well, you know, that'd be a good show. We can show 30 to 60 seconds of the YouTuber's false teaching, and it's all over YouTube. You don't have to look for 2 seconds to find some false teaching on YouTube. We can show part of their video and then respond to it from the Bible. And that's what they do. So here's answering the error. In a minute, you'll see the other YouTubers' material coming up. But Don and Aaron answer it very respectfully. It's not aggressive at all. They let the YouTuber know they're going to be reviewing his video and invite him to comment maybe if he wants to. But they answer it, and it's good for me and you to see what logic they use, what verses that they go to. This particular one is the Church of Christ a cult or not? Which is absurd to me because people label, now here's the other YouTuber's video. People label anything in religion that they don't like, they say, oh, they're a cult. Well, I don't like this, they require something. So, oh, they're a cult. Let me tell you how I know the Church of Christ is not a cult. We don't even tell people how much to give. Wouldn't that be the starting point of a cult? You have to give this amount, but we don't do that. So Church of Christ is not a cult. But that's answering the error. And they're constantly producing these shows. These topics are popular because they're what the other YouTubers are doing. We choose these topics based on what other YouTubers are doing. And the YouTubers are trying to pick topics that will grow their channels and make people watch. So these are things that people are dealing with. Sometimes in the churches of Christ, they'll say, well, why do you keep making videos on baptism? And haven't we beat that subject into the ground? No, we haven't. I'm going to tell you what, there is not a more popular topic, maybe end times, but when it comes to people who are outside the Lord's church, baptism is a critical discussion point. Because they know how they were baptized, and then they'll see one of these programs that talk about what baptism is from the Bible, and they'll say, my baptism doesn't match up with that. And then they'll email us and say, do I need to be rebaptized? So, brethren, baptism is a hot topic, and we ought not to turn away from it. So all of these. What about the Sabbath day? Where did Satan come from? Is purgatory a real place? Do we have to just believe? Is same-sex marriage biblical? Once saved, always saved is a huge topic of discussion with those between the Lord's church and those outside of the church. So that's GBN On Demand. That's an overview of our current programs. We have a backlog of others, but these are the ones that are currently being produced. And Don just said we're going to have to cut down because we don't have enough personnel to keep up with it. About 12 people are employed by GBN. And so it's not a huge organization. It's not a huge money drain on the Brotherhood. It's not that. But there's a great dedication to get the programs done and out on time because people are looking for them. All right, now we have a link on the website for Apologetics Press and their on-demand videos. Also the World Video Bible School. Love those brethren. And then you may be saying, well, where can I watch GBN? All right, let's talk about where you can watch it. But first, I'll tell you where these people watched it. They got a hold of GBN and started asking questions. And brethren, what we try to do is to set up a Bible study with people online, over Zoom, or whatever way that they might be open to doing it. I've done it through email. But this guy is in England, and we were not able to have the study with him. We connected him with a local congregation there. The preacher there studied with him, and he was baptized. This gentleman in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, not terribly far from you, right? And so he studied and was baptized, started with GBN. And then these three guys, Jaheim, Tristan, and Joseph, they were asking questions to GBN. They're in Savannah, Georgia. We did not know that they were connected. We just answer the questions. You don't know where they are. So we answer the questions, and then we get a call from the preacher and the congregation there, and he said, I guess you heard about Jaheim, Tristan, and Joseph. And we said, no, what about Jaheim, Tristan, and Joseph? Said, well, they said they'd been studying with GBN. They came in. We studied together. They were baptized, and all three of them were baptized. We said, well, that's great. We had no idea. Joseph, the one in the middle, just graduated from Memphis School of Preaching, and the one in the Army uniform there is wanting to enroll in Memphis whenever he gets out of his military service. So we love to hear that kind of thing. So they found it on places like this. You've got gbntv.org. That's our website. You can watch everything that I've been talking about on our website. We're on a few cable stations, but cable is more expensive and on-demand is less expensive, so we're really gearing in that direction. Still on a few cable stations. YouTube channel. Whenever I want to watch one of the programs, I go to the YouTube channel, and you can do that and just select whatever it is that you want. And then we have Roku. If you have a Roku device or a Roku TV, GBN is free. You just turn it on. You have to enable the channel to be in your lineup, and then it's on there. So if you have a Roku, that's a very easy way to watch GBN. GBN doesn't sell anything. We don't sell anything. Everything we have is giveaway material. And then we have an app. And again, it's free. It's for Apple or Android. And the best thing is there's no username or password required. You don't have to keep up with it. You just turn it on and it works. Don't you wish every app was that way? Yes. So it works. So let me just very quickly walk you through the app. We have a live button. This is the 24/7 feed. We have a ladies button. And these are programs that are done by ladies, for ladies only. And it's going to scroll and show you all of the videos that are available. And we have new ones coming along. There's a new series that has started called Daughters of Wisdom. Maybe you'd like that, you ladies. Then we have the on-demand button where you can watch everything that I've been talking about this morning. And then we have a library, which I'll tell you about in a few minutes from the website, and then a donate button for those who are interested in that. So these are all the ways that you can watch GBN. So surely, hopefully, one will be easy for you and maybe already in your lineup, easy for you to make a part of your daily spiritual walk. We have podcasts. These are from Scattered Abroad. This is from the Memphis School of Preaching. And if you look at the bottom row, there's one of them that says Days Gone By. And this is fantastic. I love the old preachers like Garland Elkins and Guyan Woods. But where can you find their materials, and were they recorded? How many of them were recorded? Well, the man who does this podcast finds those old recordings and digitizes them and puts them on. That is his podcast. It's always one of the old preachers doing one of the old lessons. And I listened to two of them recently, two different preachers talking about the thief on the cross. And it was just a different style, not hellfire and brimstone, but strong and solid and sure. And you just recognize it as that's a yesterday style. I think we need more of it today, but you can hear it on days gone by. All right, now we go to the library. This is my favorite part of our talk this morning. And brethren, we have for you a variety of books, but also entire commentary sets on GBN's website that you can use for free. They're done. One of them is done by Bob Winton. This is it. All but like 6 books of the Bible are complete in this set. And if you go here, you don't have to pay for these. You don't have to pay for these commentaries. If you go to a Christian bookstore, you'll pay $20 for 1st and 2nd Thessalonians. You'll pay another $20 for another set of books, or one book, maybe the book of Luke, and you'll spend a lot of money to build one commentary set. Well, brethren, this is all here and free. He said, well, is it as good? It is. It's as good. Brethren, maybe better. Because I'll tell you what Bob Winton does. He researches various commentators, and sometimes he'll comment himself. He'll always comment himself, but sometimes he'll copy in entire paragraphs of what the other commentators have said. And so it's kind of like getting 3 or 4 commentaries at once. So that's helpful. That's helpful. Say we want to go to Matthew 5:17-20. We'd click on Matthew. The PDF would pull up, and it's just one great big long PDF. And you'd scroll down to Matthew chapter 5. And then there's Matthew 5, and then we scroll down to that passage, and then the commentary starts. So that's that one. That's one commentary set. We have another one, God's Messages commentary set, and there are 2 more that are on there that have come up since I built this PowerPoint. And brethren, they are George Dehoff's commentaries, and there's another one. It's from a lectureship series. I can't remember what it is, but it's on there as well. And so just a lot of material. If you're preparing a sermon, you're preparing a Lord's Supper talk, you're doing a ladies' day, you ladies, this is good commentaries that you can go to, and they're there for you. This is another one, God's Messages commentary set. It's shorter, and so it's a more abbreviated commentary. All right, then we have a variety of books for you. One of them is Know Your Bible by Frank Dunn. 2 of these I've got out on the table out there free for you to take this morning. And one of them here is Know Your Bible by Frank Dunn. If you've ever thought about doing a Bible study with someone, but you said, well, I just don't know my Bible well enough. A lot of people say that. They usually know their Bible well enough when they say it, but that's what people say. Well, this book can help you overcome that fear. It gives an overview of each book of the Bible, tells you the dates of it, some of the introductory material to it, and then what each book is about. It can help you feel like you know your Bible. So that's Know Your Bible. It's free on our website. And then The Eternal Kingdom is there as well. Say, well, what happened to the church during the Dark Ages? Or did it really continue to exist once it was started? Or did it start with Alexander Campbell? That's what some denominationalists want to say. Well, God said He was building a kingdom that would never be destroyed, and it wasn't. We see seeds of the Lord's church going back to the day of Pentecost. The Eternal Kingdom it's a great read. You'll enjoy it. All right, we have a daily devotional, which is right there. And then we have the app, and then memorials. We have a donate button also, and then the contact us form. So this is where we'll spend the rest of our time this morning. On the contact us form on the website, people send in their questions, and it can be on anything. It produces fruit for us. Things like this lady in Brazil, and she found GBN, started messaging us. We set up the Bible study, connected her with the local congregation of the Lord's church there. This lady wrote to GBN, and she was angry because the local Church of Christ, her husband was a member of the Lord's church, and she was not. And he got sick and was not able to go to worship for the last 2 years of his life. Then he passed away. And so she was angry because the local church did not support them. I don't mean material, financially. I mean just emotionally. Did not support them. She said they never came to visit, maybe one time, and just really was ignored once he couldn't go to worship anymore. And she didn't think that was right or fair. Well, he passed away. And before he passed away, she heard him yell from the living room one day, "Hey!" And so she went in there, what? She thought maybe something was wrong. And she went in there and he had found GBN on TV. And he knew GBN. She said he was so excited to be able to find that. He didn't know that he had access to it. But he started watching GBN all the time before he passed away. And so when he did pass away, she messaged GBN. And she was upset and angry, but she said this, "I want to be with, wherever he is, I want to be with him when I die. And so what do I need to do?" And so we started a Bible study together. We went through back to the Bible. I use Rob Whitaker's materials also. It's my number one choice. And so we went through back to the Bible, and she was baptized. And so then that's what we're there for. That's what we're there for. All right, so here are some of the comments and questions that come in. I won't have time to answer them all, but we can do an overview and see what people are saying. Sometimes people just praise, and we appreciate that, but that's not what we want to focus on. We want to get to the questions. Can fornication in Matthew 19:9 refer to activity when the couple was engaged? How about that? Have you ever thought about that? Next one. I've recently heard preachers say that being a Christian is difficult. It's hard to be a Christian. Matthew 11:28-30, Jesus says his yoke is easy and his burden is light. Can you explain this discrepancy? How about that? It's a valid point. Well, there are ways in which it's harder and there's more ways in which it's easier. It's a blessed life, isn't it? Then, my daughter in college is being taught that instrumental music and worship is okay. Can you help? Yes, we can. Absolutely we can. If she'll talk to us, then absolutely we can. And people like Aaron Gallagher have such a gentle, humble, and quiet spirit, very easy to talk to. Can women lead prayer in a public meeting? Not if men are present. Concerning the age of the earth, does the Bible's timeline fit with a geological timeline? Not if you're talking about evolution and going back millions of years, but as far as the timeline of man, they line up pretty closely as far as like the Bronze Age. Can one be married in God's eyes only and not legally and still be okay? We have to obey the laws of the land, but God's law trumps man's law. So yes, we have to obey the laws of the land. They need to be married legally, not just married by their own decision. Not by their own decision. Okay, this one is talking about the 80-70 doctrine. There are some brethren, not many, there are some brethren who think that Jesus came back in AD 70 when the temple was destroyed, and therefore he's not coming back again. That's not right, but this is where it's coming from. Matthew 24 places the appearing of the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, Christ coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, the sending of his angels with a great sound of a trumpet to gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other, at the fall of Jerusalem in AD 70, before that first century generation passed away. That's correct. Everything that he said there is right. That's straight from the Bible. And then his question is, where is a yet future coming of the Lord? Well, Jesus came in judgment in AD 70, did not come literally or personally. We see this kind of language in Isaiah 19:1. It says that the Lord comes on the clouds in judgment against Egypt. Well, it's the same idea. God came in judgment against Jerusalem in AD 70, and before that generation passed away. But he's coming again. Hebrews 9:28 tells us he'll come a second time for salvation. And so when Jesus comes again, it will be the end, and it will be for salvation. Well, he didn't come in AD 70 because we're not in heaven yet, right? All right. So that's that one. Next one, is Acts 8:37 supposed to be in the Bible or not? And going back to the manuscript evidence, what verses are used to justify men's business meetings when a congregation doesn't have elders? Have you ever thought about that? Well, there ought to be biblical authority for what we do, shouldn't there? Well, 1 Timothy 2:8 talks about men praying everywhere, in contrast to the women later, how they're to adorn themselves and act. And so he sets men in the leadership role, leadership position. All right, and then we go to this one. This guy is discouraged, brethren, and your heart feels heavy for him. Listen to what he says. Will our shows of all types ever get back to the distinctiveness of the church on a regular basis? In doing so, will they ever regularly condemn by name the man-made churches with their man-made doctrines? Will our preachers and teachers in general ever be taught anymore to regularly reprove and rebuke the prevalent sins of our age, some of which are seemingly regarded as okay now? In the last 20 and 30 years, have you known any sins to become socially acceptable? We know of those, don't we? Well, that's what he's talking about. He says, where's the preaching on the distinctiveness of the church? Well, he's obviously not been watching GBN very long, because we do a lot of that and lovingly teach the truth. Ephesians 4:15, speak the truth in love. Well, that's what we want to do, and GBN can help this guy. He's probably in a congregation that's not, maybe it's not very strong. Maybe it's in an area of the country where the Lord's church is not very strong. He feels isolated. Well, we can help with that. All right, I watched your video on rebaptism. I grew up in the Baptist church. I accepted Christ at the age of 10. I was baptized following a revival service. Do I need to be rebaptized? You better believe we set up a Bible study with this guy. That is an open door, and so we did. And then, what does Ezekiel 36, 25 to 27 have to do with John 3, 5? Nothing. Ezekiel 36 is talking about sprinkling, and John 3:5 is talking about baptism. They are unrelated. Okay. Is it wrong for a single Christian man to use a dating app if the man is looking for a Christian woman? No. We're glad you're looking for a Christian woman. Use the app, whatever. You know, there's a Church of Christ Singles. Isn't there a website, Church of Christ Singles? We have some friends who met on that website. Okay. Is foot washing a sacrament? All right, this tells you that they're outside the Lord's church. We don't use the word sacrament. It's not a Bible word, and so we try to set up a Bible study here. Recently, a new pastor, okay, again, outside the church, has joined our church and wants to eliminate the use of digital Bibles from Sunday morning use. What scriptural support does he have to implement this change? Okay, you may get mad at this, but I use a digital Bible. I don't use a paper Bible. And some of the preachers will say to our students in the preacher schools, you better use a paper Bible. Well, that's fine, but you know what a paper Bible can't do? It can't swipe left and give me another translation. It can't swipe right and give me the Hebrew and the Greek interlinear on those passages. I use the digital Bible because it's just better for me. So we emailed this person back. There's no biblical reason why we can't use a digital Bible as opposed to a paper Bible. Next question. I'm a believer trying to find answers on baptism. I don't currently have a church that I go to, but I need to be baptized. I have not found anything in my New Testament scripture that sets parameters for those who can baptize. Can any Christian who believes, has repented, and been baptized in Jesus' name baptize me in my home? We get this question fairly often about who can baptize another person. Apologetics Press has a good article on this subject on their website, apologeticspress.org. Hello, as I was watching One Greater Than Solomon, I saw that you can request a Bible study. Can you give me some information about this? Thank you in advance. Absolutely, we'll do a Bible study. So what does this tell us? Everything that I just gave to you right there, that came in within 1 month's time. We constantly get questions. There are 3 of us that answer them, and the secretary just divides up the questions as they come in between the 3 of us. And so what it tells us is people are watching. Those outside the church, those inside the church, and brethren, that's what gives us the gas to keep going. GBN is evangelistic, and that is where we want to be. We're right where we want to be. We're encouraging the members of the Lord's church and reaching out to those who are not. And so this is what I was mentioning earlier. We fish for questions. We fish for contact with people so that we can set up Bible studies with them. The email is at the bottom of the screen. This is answering the error. Okay, and then we have many of our programs that are evangelistic in nature. This is one of the Drawn to God. What must I do to be saved? Then we have others showing that GBN is evangelistic and producing results. This is Hope, and she is in Hawaii. She messaged us, and this was before I was with GBN. I don't know if we studied with her or sent her to the Honolulu Church of Christ, but that's Tagalima Esene, there in the blue shirt. He's the preacher for the Honolulu congregation, and he is an American Samoan man, so he's an islander. And he was able to study with her. She was so excited about what she had found, she went and set up Bible studies with 6 of her college friends, and every one of them were baptized. How about that? Then, this is in Haiti. We had Bible studies with a girl down there. The internet connection was so poor. That's a tumultuous place. They've got big problems down there. And so the internet connection was so poor, we weren't able to continue the Bible studies. But we did have studies. We did start the process. This gentleman, he did not want to do Zoom Bible studies, and he did not want to do email Bible studies, and he did not want to talk on the phone. We just talk on the phone. So I said, well, how about I send you the questions over text? He said, that'll work. So I typed in on my phone all the back to the Bible questions and sent them to him, and then he would answer them like this. Here's some pictures of the baptisms, and they're far more than I'm able to share with you. This guy is Keith, and this is interesting. Keith is in Cyprus, and he messaged GBN, and we tried to study with him, but we don't have a local congregation of the Lord's Church in Cyprus. We didn't at this time, and so we had nowhere to send Keith. And someone said, well, what are we going to do? And so someone said, well, I know of a brother who's in Israel, but he's only there for a couple of months, which is close. And so we were able to get that brother to come over from Israel, go to Cyprus, study with Keith. And brethren, this is the first stop that Paul made on his first missionary journey. How about that? And we have no congregation there. Well, since that time, Keith has been baptized, and we've had some missionaries to go there. Some fellow missionaries who were in the islands, Wayne and Christy Parker. They're in Cyprus now. And so now there's a congregation, and Keith's there. He worships with them. He's faithful. We try to keep track of our people because we want to not just baptize, but make disciples. And so we want to see that the people are faithful another year down the road, right? Well, Keith is, and Megan from the beginning is, and the lady in Kentucky who was mad is. So we try to stay with them. Look at how he holds him down for the baptism. You ever do that, Troy? So this is in Africa. This gentleman was in prison. And prisons like GBN, because they like to have TV channels for the inmates. You know, it's TV time, so they go all into the room and they watch TV together. And prisons have a hard time finding programs, because if it has women on it, they're not dressed nice, that can be a problem for the prisoners. They fight each other. Or if there's anything gang related, they're wearing this, the hat was turned this way, whatever the symbols are, that can be a problem in the prison. So they're very selective about what they can show. Well, they like GBN because we don't have any of that kind of material. So this guy was watching GBN, and his wife was a member of the Lord's Church, but he was not. And so watching GBN in prison, he learned what he needed to do, and he was baptized and saved. So then he started studying with 4 of his cellmates. There'll be cells and then one common room, and that's a block. So he's studying with 4 of his cellmates, and they wanted to be baptized. So he writes to the prison chaplain, doing the proper procedure, proper protocol, and we've got men who want to be baptized, needs to be full immersion, and so can we do this? And the answer came back, yes, in 2 weeks. Very denominational response. Well, he knew that was not right, and we're not supposed to wait 2 weeks. What if something happens and one of these guys die? Prison is not a safe place. And so this is the citation that he got whenever he got caught filling one of those large gray trash carts with water so he could do the baptisms himself. They caught him and said, you can't do that. So he's now out of prison and preaching for the Lord's church. So brethren, that's the kind of thing that we love to hear. Here's a pin board of the baptisms, and you can't see them all. They really are worldwide. And you see down there in the South in the U.S., there's so many that they're on top of each other. But it really is worldwide, and we're thankful to be able to be a part of this ministry. If you have any questions, then please do feel free to ask. On the table in the foyer, on the right side, behind the door on this side, we have a bunch of free materials, and you're just welcome to any part of it. Feel free to ask me anything afterwards, and thank you for your good attention this morning.
I watch more stuff on YouTube than I do anywhere else.
Is that
I
right?
run across a lot of this stuff.
Good. Well, I'm so glad. That's
I found
wonderful.
that YouTube, if you watch something, it starts popping up more on your what you're watching.